Welcome to our booth training tonight. So the first thing I want to make sure you guys all understand is that the main reason for doing a booth is to get bookings. Because we have a vendor fee when you do a booth usually, you have to sell 4 times as many books and actually to make back just your booth fee. So occasionally you will find a booth where you will actually make money, but most of the time, as long as I'm making back my booth fee and getting a couple bookings, I'm happy and the booth was a success. So booths are for getting bookings. That's where you're going to find more customers. That's where you're going to get recruits and find additional hostesses to keep your business going. So that is the main point of doing a booth. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for events and trying to decide which ones you want to go to. To find events, there's lots of different places to look. You can go to different Facebook vendor websites. You can go to classified ads. You can go to your city web pages. You can ask other vendors, which I found very helpful. Just kind of see what events they like to go to every year. And they can give you some really good recommendations there. Once you've found an event that you would like to do, call and ask if there's been a previous representative with Usborne Books. If there has been a representative either last year or there currently is, then they have first dibs. Now, if it's 30 days before the event and the vendor has not signed up for it, then it's fair game and you can go ahead and do it. Or if they didn't have an Usborne rep the year before, then you can go ahead and do it. While you're talking to the head of the event, you can kind of ask a few questions about how many people they had come through the year before, how many people they're expecting this year, what advertising they're doing. Stuff like that will kind of let you know whether it's going to be worth putting forth your vendor money. Once you've booked your booth, don't stress too much about having a perfect space. Don't put a lot of money into getting lots of racks and awesome tablecloths and tables. Those are the things that you can kind of add to your collection as you go. So I've found most of my tables and racks and just from other consultants who were not going to be doing booths anymore. So I've gotten them at a discount. One of my favorite racks I got for like $10 on a classified ad. And honestly, my tablecloths are just black sheets that I picked up from Walmart. And then eventually I found some purple runners to go over them. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a booth set up. Just do what you can and make it work. We'll post some photos of some different booth setups. One of them that I posted earlier was actually my racks are sitting on my book boxes because I only had one table that day instead of multiple tables like I normally do. So there's lots of different ways to set up your event or set up your booth. Now, don't worry about having a lot of personal inventory for an event. Our company has a great consignment program where they will lend you books, and then as you sell them, you can pay the company back. And it's so very, very helpful. And it's totally recommended to use that program. Now, in order to get consignment, you have to be out of your incentive period, which is your first 12 weeks. You also have to be considered an active consultant, which means that you've sold 350 net in the last, I believe it's 3 months. And when you take out consignment, you do have to take out a minimum of $500. So just kind of keep those numbers in mind as you go to do that. You also cannot order sets and collections or supplies on a consignment order. You have to order the individual books. When you're doing event, most of the time they will ask for either your social security number or a tax ID number just for their records. And we do have a tax ID number for Usborne. So if you get to that point, talk to your leader and she can help you find that number. There is a great audio training in our consultant website. It's called Booking at Booths by Bobby Giles. And I highly recommend that you watch that at least once before you do a booth. I've listened to it multiple times and it's awesome. If you have the opportunity to work with someone on a booth and you probably won't get sales credit or paid for doing it, but you will get to keep any bookings that you have, and it's a great way to learn how to do a booth. You don't have to worry about trying to make your money back off the booth, so that's really, really nice there too. You're just there to expand your business opportunities by booking and by learning. So if you have the opportunity to do that, I highly encourage you to. At one point, we had prize drawing slips that you could use, and we just made them up and printed them off. And it would just collect customers' information, and that way we could contact them later if we had a really good deal coming up, or if we wanted to follow up with them on what they ordered, or if they wanted to do a home party. And I don't actually give out prize drawings very much anymore at my booth events. You could if you wanted to. But I do use those slips to get people's information if they're thinking about recruiting, or if they're thinking about doing a home party but they just really don't want to put a date on the calendar. I'll have them fill that out so that I can contact them later. And that's been very helpful. I still take those with me on occasion. So as far as taking payment, I make sure I have about $60 to $80 worth of cash and change so that I can make change for them. Most of the time people are going to want to pay with their credit card, and you can write down a credit card number and then process it later in Order Pro, but it gets a little bit risky. In fact, one of my last booths, I actually lost out on about $50 because I didn't get all of the information correct and I couldn't get hold of the lady again. So I absolutely love my Square. It hooks up into your phone, or I use my iPad. And it's so fast and easy to just swipe the card. They charge a very small percentage off of the card, but it's totally worth paying that percentage in order to not have to worry about whether all of the cards are going to go through or not. There's also receipt books, and some people will use the Square formatting to keep track of all of their record keeping for their sales. I still like to use receipt books. I'm kind of old school, I guess. And you can find receipt books in the school and library supplies on our in the business supply store. So a couple of hints on how to actually work a booth. I make sure I stand at the front of my booth. As people are passing, I like to say, "Hi, how are you doing?" Just kind of try and get a conversation started. A lot of people will just say hi and then keep on walking, and that's totally fine. If they are starting kind of peeking at the books, I'll ask them if they've ever seen Usborne Books before. And if they haven't, I'll say something like, "We're a company that really tries to make learning fun for kids. Our books are very hands-on, brightly colored, touchy-feelies. They all have an educational twist to them." And if they're still kind of looking at the books and they haven't left my booth yet, after a second I'll probably say, "We have 2 specials today. If you buy 4 books, you can get a 5th one free. Or if you want to do a party and get a lot of free books that way, I'm offering an extra $20 in free books if you pick one of my available dates." If they are still hanging around and looking at the books, then a second later I will probably ask a question like, "What ages of kids are in your life?" And then I'll point out different books that I love for those ages, and just kind of help them find some books that they really like. In Bobby Giles' audio training, she says that we should be like a butterfly and just kind of flit around from customer to customer. We don't want to stand right next to them and be there the whole time and never leaving them alone. Otherwise, it's a little bit imposing and they might just leave. So just kind of flit around, occasionally ask a question, point out a book that they might like, kind of show them how the Shine-a-Light books work, or, different things like that. If they've been hanging around for a little while, sometimes I will actually ask, "Are you interested in doing a party and getting free books?" Or I make sure that if they're making an order, or as I'm totaling their order, I make sure that I ask, "Are you interested in getting free books by doing a party?" If there is a maybe, or an "I don't know, I was thinking about it," or "I'm not sure," even if it's just a maybe, I have my calendar right there, and I will say, "I like to do parties on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Would one of those days work for you?" It can even just be a pretend date. If you want to just write your name and phone number down in my calendar, we can totally switch the date around later when you have your calendar with you. I'm much more likely to get bookings that way. I have my calendar right ready. It's kind of a mindset change. I know that booking a party is awesome, and it's going to help them and their friends get lots of books, lots of awesome books for a great deal. And so why would anybody say no? So I kind of assume that they're going to want to book a party. So if they even say maybe, I assume that they want to, and I get my calendar out and I see if they would like to pick a date. And then I give them their hostess packet right there, and they can take it home with them. And then I've got their name and number in my calendar, and I'll call them and follow up with them after the event. Also, as I am checking them out, if they've only got a couple of books, I will actually ask them and say, "Are you interested in doing our buy 4 get 1 free today?" Sometimes they'll say no, they just want their couple of books. Other times they'll add on a few more. And so it's a great way to get your sales up a little bit. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions or comments, let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks.